Okay, this is how we're doing it today because I live in Utah. It's snowy, it's cold, we need to bundle up. So, welcome back to the Rural Veg. I am Scotty, and I am here today to talk about my vegan story. I think a lot of the time when people go vegan, people always ask, why? Why are you going vegan? Why are you making all these changes? And everyone wants to know other people's stories, why they're doing what they're doing, why they made that decision, what led them there. So I thought I'd give my little spiel on how I went vegan 7 years ago and why I made that decision and how it's led me to where I am today. So, growing up, I ate a pretty standard American diet that consisted of a lot of processed foods, meat, dairy, eggs. They weren't uncommon in my house. I will say that my parents necessarily weren't that big of fans of cooking. We ate a lot of processed foods, the mac and cheese with hot dogs cut up into it. That was pretty standard. Milk and cereal, one of my favorite meals growing up. If you could classify it as a meal, I would for dinner for sure. So we grew up eating that. I ate that most of my life. There was a brief stint when I was in junior high school when my sister was testing out being a vegetarian, and me being an impressionable young thing and wanting to be like my sister, I of course wanted to try it as well. So there was a few months when I did that, and then circumstances changed a bit, and my parents basically said, well, this is what we're making, so either eat it or don't eat, which is probably how a lot of people grow up. Everyone grows up eating what their parents eat, and that's kind of how it is. I mean, when you're young and you're not fending for yourself, you just eat what those around you give you. So I grew up eating a lot of those things. Once I got a bit older, I got into college and I started being a lot more mindful of my nutrition. I had played soccer in high school, and after that, I carried my fitness journey onto the college level, not necessarily in soccer, but in weightlifting, going to the gym, cardio, things like that. And I started making more mindful choices during that time of what I was eating. I aimed to eat more healthful foods. I cut back on a lot of processed foods and ate what in my mind was a healthy diet: lean meats, lots of veggies, fruits, things like that. And that's where I kind of started leaning more toward plant-based options than I did growing up. I will say during this time, I recognized a bit how I didn't really care for the taste of meat. I know that a lot of people love it, and I ate some of it, but I'd always prefer to eat the sides. I was the person that was like, give me the mashed potatoes or give me the casserole, things like that. I was always more interested in eating those items. And a lot of people go vegan and they love the taste of meat, and that's fine. We grow up eating it, and you season it and you cook it, and it's what you grow up eating. You're comforted by it. I understand most people really, really do enjoy the taste of it. So I started cutting back on it just a little bit, mostly out of taste preferences. And then I also didn't really consume much dairy in the form of milk per se. I enjoyed almond milk at the time, and I was mostly transitioning to that as well at first, for a healthier option is what I was going for, but then I really grew to love the taste of it and prefer it over dairy. And so this happened through my college years. So I was in college for a couple years and started making some of these changes. And then I grew up even more, and lo and behold, I'm about to get married in a few months to my high school sweetheart. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, if I am already not eating that much meat, not eating that much dairy in the form of milk, I mostly ate eggs. I'd eat baked goods, so they probably had butter and milk and whatnot in them. But I figured if I'm not eating that much of it, I could probably cut it out. I started kind of exploring those options and looking at other people online that were vegan. I didn't know people in my real everyday life that had made the transition. But I started following people online and seeing what they did, seeing what kind of foods they ate, and I realized that it's a lot of the foods I'm already eating. It looks delicious and they're the foods I enjoy. Why couldn't I make this change? So I also, this is really weird. A lot of people have stories about, well, I saw slaughterhouse footage or I saw this documentary about how they treat animals. And mine was kind of backwards. I started having nightmares where I would have to kill animals in order to eat. I grew up in a rural community, but I've never been one to go hunting or things like that. So I had no firsthand experience of slaughtering an animal. I mean, I was paying other people to do it and then consuming it after I bought it at the grocery store. But I started having nightmares that I had to hunt for my food and I was killing animals. And it was just, I would wake up feeling sick about it and feeling like it was deeply wrong. So I started looking into it, what the meat and dairy industries are really like. And after that, I will say I did not watch any full documentaries or anything like that. I read about it mostly because whenever I'd see the footage of what happens in these industries, I was just so sickened. I was so sad at what happens to the animals. And so I would say that that solidified my decision that I could make this change with that ethical force behind me. So I would say it started more from a health perspective, but then once I learned about the ethical side of things and married the two together, I realized that it was the right decision for me. And then as you go further into it, you can also see what a lot of these industries do to our environment and how they are not beneficial for our environment, which is what they often call, the three main things why people go vegan, either ethical reasons, health reasons, or environmental reasons. And all three of these reasons are why I'm still vegan to this day. The health kick-started it, and then the ethics really solidified it. And then once I realized the environmental impacts, it really just came full circle for me, and I realized that this was going to be a lifestyle. There was no way I was going to go back. So I made the transition overnight. Once I made the decision, I started in January, the first day, January 1st of 2014, which was about 6 months before I was set to be married. And so my to-be husband went through the journey with me. He is not vegan, but he supported me through that transition and to this day, which I'm very thankful for. He's very open to vegan products, trying vegan foods and things like that, while he does still consume animal products in his day-to-day life. He's very open to those things and very supportive of me as well. So I have been vegan now for 7 years. Like I said, it is going to be a lifestyle for me. I can't ever imagine changing or going back to eating the way I did before. And I will say that my diet has evolved a lot throughout those years, which might be a fun video in and of itself. A lot of people try a lot of different diets before they settle on one that works for them, especially when entering the vegan realm. There's a lot of different people that are very passionate about the way they eat, and it can be easy to look at what other people are doing and try to mirror that. So I went from raw veganism to raw till 4 to no sugar, no oil, no salt, to junk food vegan, eating Oreos and processed meats. And now I'd say I'm more kind of in a happy medium. I like a lot of healthy fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts and seeds, all the great things that are staples in many vegans' diets. But then I also like to enjoy those other fun treats as well. So that's kind of what it looked like for my transition. Not everyone transitions overnight, and often it's not recommended to try to do so because it's very difficult to cut so many things out of your life and try to find replacements. I just know that for me and my personality, if I'm going to do something, I have to do it 100% from the beginning, or else I'll always find an excuse to revert back. So that's what worked for me, but I will preface this with saying it doesn't work for everyone. So you don't have to become vegan overnight. I don't want to give that message. It's easy to do it slowly, or it's easy to not even become full-fledged vegan, but just try to incorporate more plants in and plant-based meals into your life. So I wanted to say that as well. But that's a bit about my journey. Drop a comment below and let me know if you're vegan, what made you make the change? If you're not vegan, what are some of the things that you put in your diet to eat more plants and things like that? Just drop me a little comment below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a little like down there and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!